Well, I'd like to start off on a different note than where the member for Canberra left off, but I'm excited about this budget. I'd like to start by thanking the Treasurer for delivering a budget that just doesn't benefit certain sections of the community, but for all Australians. And what I mean by all Australians, I believe if we have a strong small business sector, then we have a strong economy. Keep in mind that small business employ the bulk of our workforce, and without them profiting, we're going nowhere. And that has been the case now for the last few years. And what we lacked it was confidence in the business sector, confidence in employing more Australians, confidence in the overall theme of getting up and having a go. There was nothing there. However, I feel that this budget will turn that around immensely, and I congratulate the Treasurer for doing so and putting in place the mechanism so business will have a go and get the country going once again. There are many initiatives in this budget that directly affect my electorate. Flynn has a large population of small business owners. We have fly-in workers and we have farmers. I also would suspiciously like to congratulate him on his attitude to these groups, as well as for allocating a large portion of the budget to the improving infrastructure in regional areas. Roads and rail will be attended to by this current government, and in my electorate alone, the Bruce Highway has about 400 kilometres, and just announced this week was the more passing lanes, more black spots to go, and in general the surface of the road will improve. We now have the ability to put a white strip down the middle of our highways with a metre apart. Will keep the cars that separated, instead of a white line 4 inches wide when you got 20-tonne trucks, 60-tonne trucks coming within 2 feet of a small car as they pass. This is what we're doing to our highways. This is how we're improving our highways. And the Bruce Highway, my electorate, for the 400 kilometres, will have this dividing line up the middle, which is going in the right direction. And you can see that our road toll is coming down, and because of the improved roads. When trucks are coming at each other and you've got 1 foot spare, all they need is a bump in the road, will throw the truck or the trailer across the path of the other vehicle, and this is where accidents happen. With the $2 million turnover of any business, who now have the ability to write off their purchases that are less than $20,000. This is a great thing for business. It reminds me of the time when I was in business back in the 80s under Fraser and Hawke. They had an investment allowance, and that was a 40% write-off of any particular business item you had to purchase. This was very good for the economy back in the 80s, and unfortunately it was whittled down to nothing. But this is what I say is a similar project. It worked then, and there's no reason why it won't work now. For the people who are not incorporated, the businesses that aren't incorporated, well, instead of having a 1.5% decrease in tax, they'll have a 5% that they can write off to reduce their tax. So you either can write off the 1.5%, you'll have 1.5% less, back to 28.5% tax, or you can write off the 5% if you're unincorporated. Now this has got to be good for business. There's no doubt about that. And with that money saved there in paying the ATO, they can invest in equipment, more staff, develop their business to a point where they make more money, and if they make more money, well, the government makes more money. So it's a very simple philosophy that the Treasurer has employed. He wants to see vibrant businesses out there, so we reduce the work for the dole, reduce the people from the dole into the workforce, and it all comes together nicely. There is, of course, 1.8 billion in savings over the next 4 years, but this will go to deserving people, and there'll be more money there for people to join in with the workers, and there's no substitute for working to replace a lot of the ills of today's society. The zone tax allowance that were offered in the past to people who, say, lived in Brisbane but worked in Emerald in the coalfields, that zone tax has been removed, and that's got to be good also, because I want to see people who work in Emerald live in Emerald, because it does help our hospital systems, it helps our general community living in places like Blackwater and Biloela. So that's a move in the right direction. So if you work in the coalfields or the gas fields or on properties in your area, well, that's where you live, that's where you bring up your family. This is why we want to encourage people to come back to the towns where they work. Particularly in our health system, we have doctors who reside in towns, and that makes a very, very strong health system. When you have to use locums in these small towns, that's fly in, fly out doctors, that they could come from anywhere in Australia, New Zealand or Tasmania. It doesn't add to the strength of your health committees who work diligently, and you set up two sorts of doctors. One is a local doctor who struggles. He provides a building, he provides permanent staff in the town, where locums tend to fly in, get paid a set amount for a day's work, and that's sometimes about $2,500, and then he flies out. No care, no responsibility, and left it up to the local doctors to fill the short gaps when he's not there. So with this zonal tax offset taken away, I think that's going to be good for regional towns in my electorate. As we go on, the drought package that has been offered to farmers is very welcome, and whilst the drought is not stranglehold in my electorate, it is just to the west in places like Maranoa. There's about 24 areas, the Shire areas in Queensland and 4 in New South Wales that are in dire straits. Some places that hasn't rained for 4 years, and these particular people are still in there hanging in. They've sold a lot of their livestock off. Some are hanging on to a few breeders to get going again when the rains will come, and they will come someday, but they need something to start from. The price of cattle in the areas that have rain have actually gone up, and that's probably because of our free trade agreements. The demand for our beef in central Queensland is rising all the time. There's about 16 foreign countries looking to Australia to supply them with beef as they become more affluent in their own living standards, and they're looking at places like central Queensland and Australia to provide them with red meat. Now, as they've had such a tough time, and a lot of these farmers and graziers have not earned $2 million or turnover of $2 million, they will benefit immensely from these new tax arrangements. And I might add, with the buying of assets under $20,000, it actually comes into 3 financial years. It's the remainder of this year, and then the next year, and the year ending 30th of June 2017. So there's two and a bit years to buy your goods and assets, and it starts as of budget night last week. So the opportunity's there for small business to get out and take advantage of what the government's offered, and I do hope they're in a situation where they have a taxable income and can use these benefits and use them over the next 2.5 years, or 2 years and 2 months. So the budget overall, very good. You'll see the black spots disappear on our major highways. You'll see the heavy vehicle safety productivity program launched. For instance, the Emerald to Claremont Road is going to do a $25 million upgrade. The black spot at Benaraby on the Bruce Highway, just outside Glaston, good program. It's a problem area on the highway that I've nominated for a long, long time, but it's great to see that come off. Last year, we delivered a tough but necessary budget for the times. No one likes to have a budget deficit year after year after year. Our government was trying to rein it in, and this year we still won't have a. Well, you people don't even know what a deficit, what a surplus looks like. You haven't had a surplus budget. No. But you weren't even born when the Labor had the last one. Jim. Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry, but the member for Rankin, you haven't had a positive budget since 1989, I think it is. Yes. Yeah. And he had a very close connection to the Treasurer, so he should not know that. Yeah, I know. So, right. So he was very proud to be along with the member for Lilly, rolling along. Don't care about ever having a surplus budget, just deficit after deficit, debt and deficit. That was their call, and yes. So anyway, that's the story. I think it's a very good budget, good for small business, good for jobs, good for everything. And we'll see this budget come to hand, and next year will even be better, because we'll have the figures, we'll have the return of the small business, the return of jobs, get that figure down from 6.3 back to around about the 5 by this time next year, hopefully. No, but that's before we. That's under your plan. Under our plan. Yeah. That's if you let it go through the Senate, would you? So we're calling on Labor actually to pass this through the Senate, and you'll see how it can work. Thank you very much.